So I guess one thing I would say that we've learned recently is that the COVID epidemic meant that rapid distribution of research results was really important.
I agree about, we jumped in straight away with COVID. One of the things which changed, we had a multiplication in applied statistics, but it was about 20-fold at the beginning because many people thought that their COVID analysis of the data was applied statistics. And actually, we had a huge rise in the number of rejected papers.
But it really did demonstrate the value of open access. It also demonstrates some of the risks.
You would think that this has no impact on cosmology, but because it was such a fashionable topic last year, there were a number of authors who decided they're going to try their hand at something related to COVID. And a number of those papers were deemed not up to our standards.
So we have been almost refereeing papers because the impact on the media was very apparent. And we had journalists citing COVID papers, which were really crank papers.
It's a delicate job for us. We have to draw this line where, we're not claiming to be referees, but if we see something that doesn't look scientifically credible, or if the general quality is too low, we have to accept that. And, I think that's one of the hardest jobs for us.
I agree that we've taken the tack of bouncing categories much more. That is, we can recognize when something is certainly not statistics, and so we say, well, this is artificial intelligence or it's machine learning. And we're not qualified to evaluate whether it's research in machine learning or research in psychology. And so we've benefited a lot from other subjects making their own archives.
The other thing which I should say that I admire arXiv for is that it's a very lean and efficient operation. As you know, most papers appear within a day.
Yeah, it is an extremely efficient system. And the people who are working as professionals, the people who are getting paid for it and who are designing the software, the interfaces that we use for doing our moderation, they're doing a great job. And I think they've made it much easier for us than it was at the beginning.
I do feel, for instance, with COVID and the more recent years, papers are downloaded a lot. And so PLOS, for instance, allows you to say how many times something is viewed and how many times something is downloaded. But the same thing isn't easily accessible from arXiv.
I read so many submissions about the H-index that I'm very afraid of encouraging people to use metrics for personal evaluations. And so I'd almost rather not give them more of this stuff. I mean, it'll just cause people to set up bots to download their own papers all the time. Another thing that, by the way, has surprised me, I'm seeing entire PhD theses uploaded, 300-page documents. I guess there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just a shock.
I think they can be useful, though. I mean, sometimes you're looking for something that should be standard in the literature. You don't know where to look for it, but some nice graduate student has explained it all very pedagogically and clearly and given you all the references. And I found it useful on a few occasions.
As somebody who works in data science, essentially, the replacement for us for data repositories are our libraries. And the libraries themselves, many universities, so Princeton, Stanford, Harvard, have created digital repositories, which are archival facilities where we put the data and, more importantly, where we put the code for reproducible research. And I think that's a function that the libraries can provide today, whereas there are many fewer physical books, and students certainly don't use the libraries in the same way. But I still think that there's a function for libraries as archival of data.
I'm really proud to be a part of the arXiv, and not just as a moderator, but I think primarily as a user. Of course, probably we all started out that way before we became moderators. We were just using the arXiv.
The reason for which I joined the arXiv, which was open access, has been reinforced now by the fact that many journals that 15 years ago didn't allow you to send in a paper that had been on the arXiv do allow that. And so even journals that have publications with paywalls, there are very often free open access versions of those same papers available because of the arXiv.
In a bigger sense, I think the arXiv has become a great equalizer of research in the world. And I think that the easy availability of the best research out there on arXiv has probably played some part in that.